What's going on, everybody? It's Kaelan Moss and Therion Thacker, the MinuteAdmin crew, and we are here to continue the journey of studying some AMPscript, preparing for the Marketing Cloud Developer certification. So let's get straight into it. So yesterday we left off where we were basically trying to build out this this table, and we kept on getting an error. So we're in our cloud page. If you go to Web Studio, then you go to Cloud Pages. And then when you go to Cloud Pages and you go to your collections, what you'll see is it'll load up. And we have all this code for task number 4. And I'm going to put it in the chat here so everybody can see the task. So go to that link if you see that. Therion, whenever I put that link in the chat, can you just click that? Are you able to click that link right there that I put in?
No, it's a copy and paste from my side. From my side, at least.
Okay, so copy and paste that. Here's the YouTube link. Also, I'm putting that. This is the Cameron Roberts YouTube link that we're studying from, so you can check that out as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to finish this task that he has us doing. However, I will say that just the task alone itself is a little bit tricky. We'll just say that.
Yeah, it's so, definitely added a new angle that takes it to the next level for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what we're trying to do is we have this table. We have this HTML table right here. And it has this table row with the headers, name, beams, points, last beam completed, and unfinished beams. Okay, so that's the HTML for this specific block. Where's this at? Okay, let me just pull this over. So that's what we see right here. Name, beams, points, last completed, and unfinished beams right here. So we've got that. And if you're in this chat, if you're in the live, if you see anything that we're missing, go ahead and just put it in the chat and help us out. That would be highly, highly helpful. But we're trying to get this last column here, even if they have unfinished beams here. So I'm going to go to the data extensions that we're pulling this data from. And
all right.
Here are the data extensions. So we have, I'm going to just duplicate this a couple of times. And we have Cloud Learners, Cloud Learner beams, beam roles, and we have beams and beam tags.
Yep.
Okay, so we have these data extensions. One of them is Cloud Learners. And the records in here are ID. So these are the people that we're pulling. These are their names. This is when they joined. This is their email address. And this is whether or not they're active. So 0 would be inactive and 1 is active. So that's Cloud Learners. That's the people. Then we have Cloud Learner Beams, which is, I'm assuming this one is the actual class that they're taking.
Yeah, I'd say so. Start date.
Because this is the learner ID. This is the beam ID, which must mean this is the class ID. This is the date they started that class. This is the date they completed it. And these are the points they got for taking that class. And then some people, what we're trying to find here is we're trying to find the people who don't have a completed date. So that's what our code's trying to find in this example right here. We're trying to find unfinished beams right here. So people who have unfinished beams. So we can just go back through these other ones too. And so we have beam roles. So we have the beam ID, the role, beam ID, and then the actual class name, and then the points for that class, and then the beam ID, and then the tag.
A tag.
Okay. So right now we're trying to get the unfinished beams anytime someone doesn't have a completed date or points. That's this exercise. So the objective is amend your table to include a column, this one, called unfinished beams, listing the names of each of the courses with no completed dates or points. So no completed date. So that would mean that it's going and finding if the date, completed date, or the points aren't complete, and it's finding that beam ID, and it's going to that, let's say that 5 right there, and it's going to
Beam
this, and it's finding 5, and it's saying commerce, or what is that?
commerce using cloud.
So we see it would be, okay. So that's where, okay. So we're looking at the code for the answer because we tried to find it yesterday. And
so everything that's on your screen now, I just went back through from Cameron's answer. And the honestly, the only thing that isn't identical is the R at the beginning of row set in that first section. And I'm just calling out what's not identical.
Okay. And can you see my screen really well?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's good size.
So row set.
Yep. That's the only thing all the way down to end if I see that's different.
Okay. So let's just talk about really quick because I want to make sure that as we're trying to troubleshoot this, we're also getting we're also able to read it. You know what I mean? And as honestly, as long as I come out, and as long as you come out of this, being able to read this and decipher, I think that's a win.
For sure.
So code block, start code block, set this variable called row set to go and look up rows from this data extension called AMP EO3 _ cloud learners. So go and look up AMP EO3 cloud learners data extension where active equals 1, which means it's going to go look up all these rows because active is 1 in all of them.
Yep.
And then it's saying go set that variable right now, which is honestly, it's just kind of that's okay. So that's something in my head. I don't really know what the term is that I'm seeing that as now, but we're setting a variable. We are starting a for loop. So I kind of want to separate those. So we're starting this for loop and we're saying for the variable I equaling 1 to the row count of this variable called row set, which we know
we just set.
Yeah, we just set that. It's going to be 1 to 4 basically.
Yep.
And that's what we see over here in the code. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
For I equals 1 to row count of row set, do something.
Yep.
So as you're looping through all 4 of those, do this thing. Set row beams equal to lookup ordered rows. Okay, so now,
So now we're calling row beams what we're doing after the equal sign.
Okay. Set a variable called row beams to look up ordered rows.
Yep. And then that's going to take us to the beams data extension.
Cloud Learner beams right here.
Yep. So we're in the beams now. And how many rows do we have in here? 44 items. Okay. So there's 44 items in that DE.
Yeah.
Complete date description.
And then we're going over to, or descending.
Yeah. Complete date descending. Yep.
So go and find that column in descending order, which would mean, what is that? Descending would be from newest to oldest.
I believe so.
Descending newest to oldest. So like, it'd be like this. Tuesday, December 28th.
So larger to lower. Larger to lower.
Okay.
Yep.
So descending be the newest to lowest, and then where Cloud Learner ID is equal to the field of this variable.
Yep. And add I to row count.
And I forget honestly what this I does right here.
So we just named it as our, so for at I, 1 to row count.
Okay. But I'm still not really sure why that's right. What is this function right here doing? Row. What is the row function doing?
So row at row set. So I don't know about the first row, but we're using, so think of the at row set and at I as us not having to type in the entire lookup rows, AMP03. We're creating a variable to replace that. So we're just shortening. So every time we see that at, we can go back to what we created to know what that variable is doing.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of how that I plays into, I guess I don't know what the function of row does. And that's what I need to look up is like, what does row do? What does field do?
Let's look it up here.
So wait, we might have a missing bracket.
Okay, so row by itself just returns a specific row from a row set.
Okay.
Okay, so row is our return, and it's saying at the row set, which is the lookup rows, and then at the row count. So one to the row count.
So
row is the beginning of our function that's like, hey, return a specific row from this row set. And then, yeah, actually go right there, and then you'll see row 1 and 2. And we're just replacing that 1 and 2 with at row set at I.
So the first space has to be a string.
Yep. Row set from which to return the row.
The row
which we did, which we made.
And then the position of the element to retrieve
from the row set is the 2. And that's our at I, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Example, data extension, loyalty members. Okay, so this is the data extension format, which is one column is email address, subscriber key, first name, last name, created date. And then here's the data, email, subscriber, first name, last name, created.
Rows.
Here's an example.
Oh, here it is.
So we have these variables.
Mm-hmm.
Row count, email address, set email.
Yep.
Okay, look up rows where that, okay. I don't even, honestly, I'm not even going to get too far into this because This is going to confuse me even more.
No, you're good. If we go back and we look at just the basic function of a row, that's going to give us what we need here in this problem. So that if we look at that basic function, row 1, 2. So what is our 1, 2 in what we just built? Our 1, 2 is, go back to our cloud page. So our 1 is at row set, which is lookup rows, AMP-3, cloud learners, right?
Yep.
And then our second one's at I, and that's our number 2, which is our position of element to retrieve from the row set. And we set at I to what? 1 to row count or row set, which we haven't dove into yet. But that's basically the position of the element we want to return from the row set.
Okay. All right. The concept makes sense. My brain just needs to synthesize it more.
Yeah, it's not easy at this time in the morning. Not gonna lie.
Actually, I would think it'd be the easiest because I haven't had to do too much today. My brain's all clouded.
You gotta have a warm up session.
We're jumping straight into the action.
Right.
Okay, so
okay.
I do think though we're missing a parentheses.
What are we missing here?
Row of row set. That's the parentheses for that. But look, field of row. Okay, no, that's there.
Yeah, it's good. Double brackets at the end.
That's there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look up the row count at row set to get a little bit further into that. Because we're really breaking it down, each function and variable.
Yeah. So the only thing I could think, okay, let's just keep going through. So set points equal to 0, which I'm not sure what that really, I mean, I guess you're setting that variable equal to 0. I mean,
right, unless, so set at points equal to 0, set at, so that's our starting point, I believe.
Okay. So then set beams.
Also at 0.
And then set last beam equal to nothing. Because it's going to loop through and it's going to reset it to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Set unfinished equal to nothing. And I just am going to, every time you see the word set, unless it's like intertwined between two things right here, I'm just going to make it its own sentence.
Yeah, because we're really defining things there.
Yeah.
Yep. Those are just definitions of what we're building.
And then we're jumping right back into a for loop.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let me see here. Let me catch up with you. Okay. Yep. I'm there.
Now we're saying for B equals 1 to row count of row beams.
Mm-hmm. Do this.
Do this.
So now we've created a second variable comparative to our first. Our first was for at I, 1 to row count at row set. And this one is for B equals 1 to row count at row beams. So we're traversing the grid is basically what we're doing.
Traverse, man, that's too big of a word for me.
Oh, I love it. Oh, this is great, man. This is great. Listen,
going to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's going to be going to AMPscript guy. It's going to be trying to figure out.
It never gets any better than just diving into the deep end, right into the fire.
No, I know.
But here's a great point though. Go back to that AMPscript guide and let me show you something. This is a key thing for anybody watching that hasn't attempted any of this yet. Scroll down. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, right here. So you see these little marks where they're reminding themselves what they're doing here, where they have the grayed out area or a literal value, or these are your personal notes when you're building out your code so you don't forget. I used these in C++ when I first started. Oh, like a religion. I mean, they were with me on almost every line of code. I'm like, this is what I did here and this is why. So that's how you block out your notes within your code.
Crucial.
Very crucial.
Like, I think as I'm learning, I'm gonna start saying.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can start leaving notes at the end of each.
Yeah, seriously. Yep. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
For sure. Because once the code gets so big, I mean, you can't remember everything.
No, there's no way.
No way.
So we're setting these variables.
We got our sets done. Okay. For at B, 1 to row count at row beams. Now do this.
We are almost 30 minutes in. We didn't set the timer here. So
okay.
What's the 30? We're 15, 18 minutes to go.
Yep.
Setting the timer. And then we have.
Okay, so here we are. So if field at this row, so this function returns from this row at row beams at B is points greater than 0, then if at B equals 1 or true, then set the at last beam equals lookup to this string. Yeah, so it's a big giant mess, man. It really is.
Okay, so as we're reading it though, it does make a little more sense because this structure right here is the same as
that one. So once you learn that function structure, you're going to learn. And then, Kaelan, all we do is we replace row with whatever new command we need in a function, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So
the top one is we're returning ID. This one's points.
Okay. And then if B, that's what I'm not really understanding. So if the field is greater than 0, then if B equals 1, then set last beam, which was up here originally set as blank.
Yep. To the lookup that we just created right here.
Yeah. And we're making this on the fly.
Yep.
Naga, what's up, man? Task: create custom activity in Journey Builder using Heroku or HCC Kubernetes. Man, I'm going to be honest. I have no idea what that is, and I'm scared to even try it right now. Because I'm having a hard time trying to figure out some basic AMPscript. So let us know what that is. Is that something we should look up for this task here? Oh man. Yeah, that's a developer community question right there.
How to achieve that above task is what he's asking for.
Yeah, that would be a developer question. Yeah, we'll add in some stuff at the end of this for places you can go to ask that question. For us, we're really just trying to knock out this AMPscript and study for MC developer. But I will put some stuff in the chat afterwards for who you can reach out to for that for sure. Okay, so if field row at row beams at B points greater than 0, then if B equals 1, then set last beam equal to lookup amp EO3, that data extension amp EO3 beams. Where's that one? Right here. Go look up that data extension.
Name.
For the name. And
the ID.
Name of the ID field is equal to the same field that we find in row beams.
Yep.
Which is looking up Cloud Learner beams right here.
Right. And that's start dates and end dates, right?
And
Complete
it's going
dates.
to find that.
Yep.
And then find us the beams ID. And then let's just make sure we have all the syntax right. So set last beam, lookup, name, ID, field.
That looks good.
Row beams, B, that for loop, and then beams ID, end if. Okay. Now we have set. Now we have another set of brackets, set variables. Set points equal to add points, comma, field.
And this is where I believe we're adding them into our blocks.
Okay. This is where we're adding them into that little HTML.
The final step. We've collected our data. Now we're adding it in.
Okay. And then at row beams, comma, B, comma, points. Set beams equal to add at beams, comma, 1. Else, so even, then set the variable called unfinished.
Yep.
So now we're going back and saying, okay, now go and set these. Set unfinished.
Here's our concatenate statement.
Equal to concatenate
unfinished
variable.
Yep. Lookup. Here comes our string.
AMP EO3 beams. Name ID where the field is equal to row at row beams, comma, B, parentheses, beams ID,
BR,
line break. And then, there's another bracket around line break.
Oh, there is. Huh. Okay. That's definitely a miss. And then end if and next.
And then next at B. And then.
Hey, Naga, we're just building a cloud page. And since it doesn't really give us a descriptive error, it just gives you a general error. We're going back through the code to see where we might have missed something.
And then we have field row set at I, name, V of beams, look up points, look up last beam, and look up unfinished.
And then next and table.
Okay, let's see.
All right, see what we got.
Save it.
Save it.
And let's see. There we go.
It was the bracket. It was the bracket. It was the bracket. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh man, one bracket, man, one bracket.
Good. Okay, we got it.
Sweet. Thanks, Naga. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I appreciate that, Naga. Congratulations. We're going to keep
Woo!
that.
Let's go!
Oh, my
Oh
God.
man.
Okay, let's do another. All right, let's go to the next part of this task.
Yeah, so we can take a peek.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing right now so I can reshare this with the audio. Share screen. And okay, ready? We're about to get it going.
Let's do it.
Okay, let me. All right.
All right, let's try that. Hey, there we go. So, Cloud Admin Beginner and Cloud Process Automation with a blank above and below. Cloud Admin Beginner Automation, perfect. All right, that task is complete.
Oh, the commercials.
For our final task, task number 5, we're in the end game now. The CEO
End game.
out of your work is curious and has a question for you. Given learners earn points every time that they complete a beam, I'd like to know the accuracy each learner has achieved on their completed courses so far, represented as a whole percentage. Let's roll down the following. So the learners' points that they've earned over the sum of the possible completed beam points. Okay. The goal here is to produce an accuracy, so there it is there, to show how accurate each learner has been through their courses. Okay, so of course maybe you don't get 100% of the points if you don't do so well in the course. And so this learner here has 80%, is to have 73. Okay, so we can use the accuracy column. All right, let's go into our code then. Take accuracy with us. Go into our code. Let's make a new table header called accuracy. All right, accuracy, there we are. The accuracy will be a percent. We have to count up all of the points and see what percent they've got. Okay, so we need to have another value. We've been summing up the points they've earned. We now need to get how many points they could have earned. So let's take points. Let's make a new one called max points. That's the maximum they could have earned. And go into here, and rather than adding up the points that they did earn, we need to add something else. Something they could have earned. To do this, we of course have to look up another value again. So we can use our lookup value. But like before, we're not going to look up name. This time, we're going to look up another value, which will be their points. So I'll take points, and we'll go looking up the beams, looking up the total points they could have earned for each beam, on each beam ID, of course, and adding that to their max points. That creates the maximum total number of points they could have earned. Okay. So now we have max points, which of course starts at 0. We build it up with adding the whole way. Let's output our max points value before we do our percentage. Just make sure it works. So we've got our max points here. Only, of course, we're not empty. Of course, we're only counting the ones that have completed. We're adding where the beams points value on the ID for, of course, the cloud learner beams. Max points adding. All right. Done and schedule. So how many points did each learner actually accrue? So you can see here that they've got this many points, but they could have earned that many. That looks about right. We did see it was in the 70 and 80 percentiles. That looks about right. All right, so we got the right number. We now just need to create it as a percentage function. So to do a percent function, we're going to have to do a couple of things. We have to do a number format. We also want to do a divide. So before we output our values, we want to do some math. So we can do our math just here, outside of the for loop, before we output the values. So let's go set percent. Set percent will be equal to, what we have to do is divide. Oops, divide. We're going to divide what by what. It'll be the points you've earned divided by the max points. When we have that value, we have to do one more thing, which is a number format. So for the number format, we want to do a format number function. So go format number. We're going to format that number, dividing points by max points, and into what format? Well, in the format number function, we do have the percentile, which is a P. So we can use P, but we do also want to make sure there's no decimal points. So if we go and check our brief, it says the whole percentage with no decimals. So if we go back into our code, we use the P0, which means 0 decimal places, as our @%. With that percent, of course, we can use @% in our output. We can check out our code by going Schedule and Publish. Hey, and there we are. 74, 73, 73. 74, 73, 73. Perfect. That is task number 5, fifth and final, complete. And so now we've completed the exercise for AMPscript lookups and loops as our @%. With that percent, of course, we can use @% in our output. We can check out our code by going Schedule and Publish. Hey, and there we are. 74, 73, 73. 74, 73, 73. Perfect. That is task number 5, fifth and final, complete.
Okay, so we're going to share the screen again. We have 2 minutes left in this study session, so we're going to be back later on today to study this again. We're going to finish it out, though, with this 2 minutes. One thing, though, Therion, I want to do is, like, as we're going through, I want to just look up the functions that we're working with a little bit. Like, even if it's just for a split second.
Did you notice how each thing he built, he went to the bottom to add the HTML he was going to need for that?
Dude, yeah.
In that video?
He's thinking ahead. He's ahead of the curve.
He already knows he's going to have to do it, so he just takes care of it as soon as he builds it.
Yep.
Great practice.
What was the first? So you're saying he went and did the HTML?
So yeah, I'm talking at the bottom. So as he was creating those sets and those functions of what to return, he was already going to the HTML at the bottom and setting that new.
Oh, like this right here?
Mm-hmm.
What did he have?
So in this example he just gave us, he added in percent at the bottom underneath unfinished.
Oh, okay.
As soon as he created the percent function.
So he had percent that he knew was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had the table header.
Mm-hmm. With accuracy after unfinished beams.
Let's see. It's not liking it right now. 1 second.
It's Thursday. That's why. It's like, listen, you guys got to quit with this AMPscript stuff.
Done. What's up with this TH being red?
I don't know. It's mad.
What if I copy that? Okay. It just didn't like that TH. Accuracy, that's a column header with percent. And then we have, okay, so, all right, that is the time right there. We're going to come back today later on, and we're going to finish this exercise. For the question of, can you share your practice org credentials? I wish I could. I cannot share these credentials. However, if you can get your hands on a Salesforce Marketing Cloud practice org, definitely try to. I will say, and this goes for the future, I know this is a question that a lot of people have asked, but I can't give the credentials for this practice org.
Right.
I'm not at liberty to do that. I apologize for that. I wish I could. I wish there were practice orgs available for everybody. But that's partially the reason why we are going live every day and just sharing the journey, just so you can follow along and see. But yeah, that's the unfortunate answer to that question right there.
Yeah.
But we're going to end this broadcast, and we are going to be back later on today for another study session, another 45 minutes. And we're just going to be practicing this exercise, finishing this one out. So that's all we got for this one. Kaelan Moss, Therion Thacker, MinuteAdmin crew, out.
MinuteAdmin out.
See you, everyone.